Hello, Mike Winter. 1,000 Pine Points to 23 U-Buzz. Mike Winger put out a video on answering Aaron Ra's video on contradictions. There's always a solution to contradictions. Everybody knows that. Hello, Darkin. Thanks for the music. Hey, Shen, Joy, Shane. Jazzerlights, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How's all God's children doing today? We're doing fine. We are blessed as always. So the title of today's video is Should You Talk to Group 1 Christians? And a friend of mine named Troy, I was minding my own business. He sent me a YouTube, or not a YouTube video, a video. I don't even know, actually, I don't know where the source is for this other than Jonathan McClatchy's Facebook page. I think this is, I don't know. But I'm going to play it, and hopefully it shows up on either J. Warner Wallace's YouTube channel or Frank Turek's, what's his channel called? Examined.org. And I can link it and credit it so you can see it for yourself. But I thought, what's a type 1 Christian? Well, I'm going to tell you what a type 1 Christian is shortly. Just got to hang on there. And so I watched this, and I was just thinking, like, don't these apologists see how this can be flipped right back on them? So it's a question from the audience, and J. Warner Wallace is going to answer it, and I'm going to answer it from my perspective as well. So here we go.
Sir, what's your name?
Sam.
Hey, Sam.
My question was, when you come across people who you need to share this information with, people who need to know this, how do you discern between people that you should share this information with and casting pearls before swine? Like hard-hearted people who like, we have the commandment not to cast pearls before swine. How do we tell the difference between those people and the people who need to hear this, who will receive it?
Okay, I think that's a great question. So atheists, if you encounter a Christian who's hard-hearted, not open enough to be willing to say that they could be wrong in what they believe, like, should you cast your pearls upon those swine? How do you tell the difference between those Christians who are open to being wrong, open to Jesus never being resurrected, from those Christians who say, no, there's nothing that could change my mind. You could even drag the bones of Jesus in front of me, and I would still doubt that because that's probably not Jesus. And I've experienced Jesus real in my life in my late teens and early 20s. I've seen people have demons pulled out of them. I've felt the presence of God. How do you tell the difference between the Christians who are willing to say, maybe there's another explanation, and those say, no, this has to be God. There's just no other explanation. So I think it's a great question.
I'll make it fast, I promise. He's come over here and tell me, Jim,
No,
make it fast.
He'll put it on a screen. Can we
Yes, I'll go back to my PowerPoint for a second, folks. It's going to be a black screen. Okay, I'm going to draw this on here. I hope it'll show. There it is. It's in red. Can you see it?
There you go.
Can you see it now? It's not very thick, is it? I'll try to make it thicker. Now you're going to ask me to do things I'm not quite sure I can even do. Let's see. Hang on one second. I'll make it yellow. Is that better in yellow? Okay,
it's
good.
fine. They can see it.
So here's the spectrum when we pick a jury. This is the spectrum of people we pick in a jury. All kinds of folks get called in for jury duty. We put them on a panel. They're divided into two broad categories. You have people in this category and people in this category. These are people on this side are people who are pro-prosecution. They just love prosecutors and cops. They pretty much believe anything you say. But they like cops. On this side, you have people who...
Yeah, so there's two groups of people out there. There's people who believe in God, and there's people who don't believe in God. And or a God, and there's just some people, some who do believe in God, that they're just pro God. It doesn't matter what you say, they're just pro God.
Or pro defense. This is a D. This is a P. Sorry. Can you see that? Okay, I'm up with my fingers. Okay, so there's a pro prosecution folks and there are pro defense folks. So these two groups are broken in half. Okay, so we have group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. Group 4. Got it? Yeah. These folks in group 1 are so pro prosecution that they believe anything cops say. This is an exclamation point. And you can see that they are just totally pro prosecution.
So there's Christians in group 1 who, this is the title of this video. There are Christians in group 1 who are just pro God. It doesn't matter what anybody says against it. They're going to believe it. They believe whatever the Bible says. It cannot be wrong. They believe whatever their favorite apologist says without question. They don't question the Bible. They believe it 100%. They're pro God.
Group 2, they're pro prosecution, but they're open. They'll do the right thing. If you don't have the evidence, they'll put a question mark there.
So yeah, group 2 are those Christians who are saying, you know what, I could be wrong. Maybe Jesus didn't rise from the dead. Maybe there is no God existing. So that's group 2.
And then you have group 3, people who are pro-defense, but they're open. They'll do the right thing. So they got a question mark also. And then you have people in group 4 who are so pro-defense, they never trust anything any cop ever says. Forget it. You're out of here.
Yeah, so group 4 would be those strong atheists who, there is no God.
Do you see the 4 groups?
Yes.
When we pick a jury, we're trying to...
Oh, hang on a second. Let me see if I can get it back.
...into 2 broad categories. You have people who are pro... Group 4. Got it? These folks in group 1 are so pro-prosecution that they believe anything cops say. This is an exclamation point. And you can see that they are just totally pro-prosecution. So they got a question mark also. And then you have people in group 4 who are so pro-defense, they never trust anything any cop ever says. Forget it. You're out of here. Do you see the 4 groups?
Yes.
When we pick a jury, we're trying to get rid of groups 1 and 4. The prosecutor wants to get...
So when you pick a jury, you try to get rid of the extremes, group 1 and 4. So the question is, when you engage with people to talk about whether God or not exists, whether the Bible is true and so forth, maybe do we get rid of groups 1 and 4, those hardcore Christians who won't listen to anything?
Everyone in group 4 out of it because they'll hang your jury. The defense attorney wants to get everyone in group 1 out of it because they'll convict your guy. Got it? So we're looking for people in groups 2 and 3. Now I'm telling you this because this really relates to our evangelism also. Because it turns out that the people in our world are broken into 2 groups we can preach the gospel to. There are people we can talk the truth about. In the first group, this is now a B, if you can see it's a B. These are believers. And these are unbelievers. Here's a U. In group 1, we've got people who are such strong believers, you could get the body of Jesus and drag it in front of the bones of Jesus. They would say, I don't care, I'm still in. I don't care what you show me evidentially, I will never change my mind, I am a Christian. Great, they're in group 1. Group 2 are Christians who are starting to have doubts.
Group 2 are those Christians who are starting to have doubts. Now, my question for J. Warner Wallace, do you prefer the Christians in group 1 to shift over to group 2? Are you saying that they should have some doubts, maybe just a little bit of openness, that they could be wrong?
Group 3 are atheists that are starting to have doubts. And group 4 are atheists that I don't care what you say, they don't want to hear you. So how do I deal with these groups? Clearly, the groups in 2 and 3, again, are the sweet spot.
Yeah, I would agree. Groups 2 and 3 are the sweet spot. So if you want to have, hopefully, a productive conversation, maybe target group 2 if you're an unbeliever and group 3 if you're a believer.
But I actually want to share the truth with group 1 because they don't even think you need to have any evidence for what you believe. But guess what? They're raising kids in their family and they're in group 2.
So yeah, this is interesting. The people in group 1, it sounds like they don't even need evidence. They're just going to believe it. So I guess my question for J. Warner Wallace, do you want those hardcore Christians who just really, they're 100% convinced that this is true? Do you want them to doubt just a little bit and shift over into group 2?
And you need to be ready to help the people in group 2 that are in your family. You might think, well,
Okay, hang on a second. You need to help people in group 2. So I'm assuming he's talking to group 1 people right now, the people that he doesn't want to be in group 1?
I don't need that. They need it. And they don't even want our books. You can buy our books. I hope you do buy our books. We'll be happy to sign our books. But guess what? You can't give our books to your kids. They're not going to read them. They don't want to.
And then it sounds like he's saying it's the kids who are in group 2 and it's the adults, the mature Christians in group 1. Are you saying, J. Warner Wallace, that it's the mature Christians who doesn't matter what you say, what evidence you provide, they're not going to change their mind? I'm confused, J. Warner Wallace. Do you want group 2 to learn from their parents and from apologists so they shift over to group 1 and become stubborn and hard-hearted against anything against Christianity? Is that what you're saying?
Want to hear from us. The first apologist your kids want to hear from is you. We don't need another $1 million apologist. We need $1 million $1 apologists.
Yes, that is great advice. We don't need one Hitchens. We need a million little Hitchens out there who can speak reason and be open and cause a little bit of doubt. Be willing to change.
Got it? So you need to be doing that if you're in group 1. But of course I'm interested in group 2 and 3. Group 4 is where my dad is. And that's
Yes, good point, Shane. Unlike J. Warner Wallace, I'm not selling any books.
where I was for 35 years. So what do you do with folks in group 4? Well, you do the same thing that Frank talked about already. This is the group you pray for and you model Christ to.
Okay, this is very important. So group 4, you can't talk to those hardcore atheists. You can't talk to those people. The only thing you can do is pray for them and model Jesus. So now let's flip it. So if you're an atheist listening to this, when you're talking to someone in group 1, who's basically my demographic, who I often have on my channel, you can't, all you can do is hopefully model openness, model reasonableness, and hope that over time they shift over to category 2 there.
Because at some point, until God calls them into group 3, you won't reach them, and it'll feel
Yeah, and at some point, until reason moves them over into number 2, there's not much you can do.
like it's a failure. But trust me, I was hearing you when I was in group 4 before God pulled me into group 3, and I remembered everything you said.
Yeah, and trust me, people in group 1, those hardcore pastors and apologists, they're hearing guys like me. They're listening, and that will have an effect in the long run.
Once I was in group 3. So it's worth your time. But remember that that's the group that right now, if they're in the room, they're live tweeting what a jerk I am.
Yeah, I agree. If you're a group 1 Christian right now, you're probably live tweeting about PineCreek right now, just how disingenuous and evil I am for causing doubt in young Christians that might lead them to hell.
They're adamantly against us. And they're blogging.
They're adamantly against any non-believer who engages with a believer, who asks questions that really gets to the root of why they believe and what would change their mind.
Against us and writing against. They hate us.
I'm not sure if they hate me, but I think there's probably some group 1 Christians out there who yet really despise me.
So we model for that. Now, I just sent a group of students to Berkeley, right? We take students to Berkeley to expose them to atheism, okay? And I teach them this stuff, and when they go, I saw they sent me pictures from Berkeley. The students are wearing shirts that said, I showed you these, I'm praying for group 4.
Yeah, and so I'm seriously considering getting some shirts, maybe with the PineCreek logo, saying, I'm reasoning with group 1.
So you'd be praying for group 4, okay?
And Sam, the short way to find out where people are is to ask them the question, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? See how they react to that.
Yeah, I agree. If I suggest to all non-believers to approach Christians. If you're not sure if the Christian's in group 1 or group 2, ask them, are you open to the idea that Christianity is false? And if it isn't true, if you doubt the core propositions, are you willing to stop believing in it? And see how they respond.
If somebody goes, well, sure, and it seems they're sincere, they're in group 3 probably, right?
Yeah, and if a Christian says, yeah, sure, I could be wrong, then they're probably in group 2, right?
If somebody says no or says, yeah, but you couldn't do that, because I get that a lot. If I could show you it was true, would you believe it? Yeah, but you couldn't do that.
Yeah, so if you're talking to a Christian and they say, yeah, but you can't disprove God. Yeah, but you can't disprove the resurrection. Yeah, then you're probably talking to a group 1 Christian.
They're still in group 4.
You see how easy that is, J. Warner Wallace? You see how easy that is, Frank Turek? I'm curious, like, if you ever watch this video, do you think about what you're doing here and how easily it can be mirrored back on you? Anyhow, have a great day, guys. I got lots of work to do. Take care.